Good morning. And Pete has a couple of announcements.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, you should all have received, or in your seat, hopefully. There's two items about time-sensitive things that FIA is involved in. I'll have petitions to hopefully that you'll agree to sign out in the narthex. I mean, out in the coffee room after the service. Real briefly, one involves saving a dune woodlands in Hammond from destruction, and the other is about, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and there's an interfaith action network of 12 congregations. We're one of them, pushing for the development of mobile mental health vans to respond to mental health crisis calls instead of the police, based upon the Denver, Colorado model, which has been extraordinarily successful. So there are petitions to the city councils of Hammond and Gary about these issues, and they'll be available after church. Thanks.
Thank you, Pete. Good morning, and welcome to the worship service of the First Unitarian Church of Hobart, Indiana. My name is Sandy, and my pronouns are she and her, and I participate in the life of the church by acting as the president of the Board of Trustees and a few other things. We are a religious community of people with diverse beliefs and shared values. Our diverse beliefs are expressed in our 6 sources, and our shared values are expressed in our 7 principles, both of which can be found online at uua.org or in the opening part of your hymnals. Together we strive to grow spiritually, build community, and live our values in the world. We are currently in search for a full-time minister. Actually, we're not. I'm reading the old script. We have a full-time minister who will be joining us on August 1st. His name is Pastor Tom Bozeman, and I've spoken with him, and he's a wonderful guy, and you will also think he's wonderful when you meet him. We are currently streaming our service online. The Joys and Sorrows portion of our service is private, and we will take a break from streaming during that part of the service. The sermon portion of the service will be recorded and will be available for future viewing on Facebook, YouTube, and the church website. Let your Facebook and Twitter friends know that you are attending worship with hashtag First Unitarian Hobart. On this particular Sunday, since our minister is not here yet, we are fortunate to hear from a member of our congregation, Mr. James Johnson, who is our tech guru and one of our chief factotums here in the church. Without James, there's not much that would be running very well at all. So please take a deep breath now and join us in a spirit of reverence.
If you like, please follow me in our lighting of our chalice. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of a life we share together.
Thank you, Roz. Opening words are from Dr. Seuss. Unless someone like you cares a lot, nothing is ever going to get better. It's not. Please join in singing the opening hymn, Rise as You Are Able, number 121, We'll Build a Land.
Now's the time in the service when the train goes by. Now's the time in our service where we create community, we greet our neighbor. We're striving in this time to be both spiritual and safe. So as you greet your neighbor, just raise your hand, say hello. Go ahead. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. We're just waiting one moment. No, no.
Let me get the right script here. I think I've done this enough, I should know this by heart. Here it is, okay. Maggie's not here today. I'm hoping that doesn't mean that things have gotten worse for her father, but she couldn't be here today, so I'm filling in for her here. This congregation expresses our greatest joys and deepest sorrows in community. We believe that a joy shared is magnified and a sorrow shared is diminished. We pause, listening to what arises from within our hearts. Your joys and sorrows will not be streamed online, nor will they be shared as part of the recording which is made public. Are there any joys or sorrows to be shared today? Yes. And now it's time for the story for the child in each of us.
Well, I see a lot of young at heart, but do you all just want to stay in your seats rather than come and sit up here? We can take a vote if you want, if you want to come and sit up here. Well, this is The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. It's kind of long, so you can rest. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. Aha, so I don't need to hold, I was working. Good job, James, as always, so I don't need to hold. Oh, so Tracy's up there. Okay. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows. And the old onceler still lives here. Ask him, he knows. You won't. There's my child. You okay, Ross? Is he okay? Okay. You won't see the onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkum on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkum, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffered moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you have to toss in 15 cents and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snoove, his secret strange hole in his grooveless glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper-ma-phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Slup. Down slups the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back, in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds are still clean, and the song of the Sami swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place, and first I saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored tufts of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbabaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits. From the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming while splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, all my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had a sweet smell of butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I unloaded my cart. In no time at all, I'd built a small shop. Then I chopped down a tuffula tree with one chop. And with great skillful skill and with great speedy speed, I took the soft tuft and I knitted a thneed. The instant I'd finished, I heard a gazump. I looked, I saw something pop out of a stump of a tree I'd chopped down. It was sort of a man. Describe him, that's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. "Mister," he said in a sawdusty sneeze, "I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues, and I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs." He was very upset, and he shouted and puffed, "What's that thing you have made out of my truffula tuft?" "Look, Lorax," I said, "there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I'm doing no harm. I am being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats." The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool's thneed." And at the very next minute, I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute, a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I had knitted was great. He bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You stupid poor guy. You never can tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up if you please." I rushed across the room and in no time at all built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called on my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, "Listen here. Here's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left on Weewacken. Sharp right at South Stitch. Then, oh baby oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hackler, which whacked off 4 truffula trees in one smacker. We're making thneeds 4 times as fast as before. And that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week he knocked on my new office door, and he snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbablutes, who play in the shade in their barbottle suits and happily lived eating truffula fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffula fruit to go around. And my poor barbablutes are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. They loved living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys," I cried, and he sent them away. I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them all go, but business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm, I most truly did not, but I have to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads of the thneeds I shipped out. I was shipping them forth to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more thneeds, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. But again he came back. I was fixing some pipes when the old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax. He coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and he snuffled. He snargled. He sniffed. Onceler, he cried with a crefulous croak. Onceler, you are making such smogulous smoke. My poor swami swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. You cannot live here, so I'm sending you off. Where did they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you smogged up around here. What's more, snapped the Lorax. His dander was up. Let me say a few words about gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on, day and night without stop, making gluppity-glup, also sloppity-slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old onceler man, you. You're clogging the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Off? Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that just isn't so smeary. Well, then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax. Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap, yap, and say, bad, bad, bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring and biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering and turning more truffula trees into thnees, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. No more trees, no more thneeds, no more work to be done. So in no time, my uncles and aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under the smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax, and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance, just gave me a very sad backward glance as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face as he hoisted himself and took leave of this place through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks with the one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. But that was long, long ago, and each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away through the years while my buildings have fallen apart. I worried about it with all of my heart. But now, said the onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. The end.
Okay. I love that story, I really do, and I always have. So I have known that I was supposed to be doing this for several months now. Doesn't mean that I didn't procrastinate writing this right up until I ran out of time to write this, so. I came up with an order of service, I came up with an idea for a sermon, and then realized that I really didn't know what I wanted to write, and every time I started to write it, I had to restart it, because really what the sermon was around was the idea that a church is not the building, it's not the books, it's not the library, it's not this amazing just remodel we just did. It's not all the work that we have left to do, it's you, it's the people, it's everybody you see sitting around next to you, it's the community, it's the sense of camaraderie, it's the volunteers. And that's really the biggest thing, is it's the people and the volunteers. And we are coming up on 150 years, we're at 148 at the moment. And 148 years, no, the number's not really accurate. It's 148 years that we've been in this building, but we've been a church much longer than that. We go back roughly another almost 50 years. So we're realistically coming up on almost 200 years that we've been a church, because a church isn't the building, it's the people. And this church has been around almost 50 years longer than the building was here. This building was built by Unitarians for Unitarians. It is our home, but it's the people. And I wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you to all of the people who do come in every Sunday and make this place a church and make it a home for our congregation. I wanted to say thank you to the people who come in Monday, Tuesday, and every other day and plan events and plan game nights and plan rituals and everything else that makes this place a church and makes it our home. And the biggest part is we are coming out of this nice 2-year stretch of COVID where we all kind of got to take a break and step back, and our committees kind of shrank down, and our volunteers weren't needed as heavily because we didn't have the building to support, but we still needed people. So we still have our people, but we need that push for commitment again. We need the push for volunteers so we can grow our church and grow our family. So though I didn't come up with a nice big speech that I was going to, I didn't get to have my chance to write that, and because I will procrastinate until it is possibly the last possible minute, and then I'll forget to do it. What better way is there to do it than to procrastinate until you forget about it? And then I show up on Sunday morning and realize, oh yeah, I have a sermon to do today. This is gonna be fun. But for a change, a sermon didn't need to be written because it needed to be from the heart, because we are at a point where we are coming up on our 150th celebration. It's 150 years that we have been inside this building, that we've been preaching from this pulpit and standing on this stage, and in a lot of those, I mean that quite literally, we don't change much. Those are the same pews we've been sitting in for 150 years, and they're just as uncomfortable today as they were 150 years ago, I'm sure. As you can all tell that I don't sit there very often because I'm standing up and moving around, and did not find that to be a comfortable seating experience. I prefer my chair up in the loft. But we need people to go into the next 150 years. We have a new minister coming in. That's great. Excited. We are in the process of redoing our policies and procedures, the way that we do everything. No. Yes. Yes, it is. It is fun, right? We are coming into 150 years as an old church full of people that we all enjoy spending time with, and we're coming into it realizing that we get to redevelop ourselves for the next 150 years, which means that we're going to need the volunteers, we're going to need the people. We all hear about it all more than enough that we need the money. I'm not here to say we need the money. That's finance committee. They'll be on you guys soon enough. It's almost pledge drive time. I'm not here for that. Yeah, see? I'm not here for that. That's not my shtick. I'm here for the people. I'm here to get the volunteers to keep the building running, to grow us into the future, and that's going to be one of our big pushes this coming fiscal year. And we've already started it with the remodel and trying to revamp ourselves. Our biggest push is the new people. When we look around, every Sunday since we've reopened, we've had new visitors in these pews, and it's great. It's great, and I've been here since 2008 or 9, depending on what paperwork I look at, depends on which one number that comes up to, but I've been here 13 years at the minimum, and this is the first time in 13 years that I can say we are consistently seeing new visitors every single week, and reoccurring visitors. So we're getting those same people back week after week, and we're reaching out to them, and that's growth. That's what we need to see. That's what's going to keep us going, because again, a church isn't the building, it's not the books in its library, it's not the food in the kitchen, it's the people that keep all that going. And the church will be here. We're pretty much paid off. The building's ours forever, but the building's not a whole lot of good without the people in it. There's a bunch of old churches in Gary you can go look at that they're still there. They're buildings, but they're not churches because there's no people in them. And that's the big message for today. And it's why I love that book so much. Is it's the whole message behind the book is, unless somebody cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to change. And if we want to change, if we want to move forward and see new people sitting in these pews, if we want to see the change that we are working on right now with the remodel and the updating and everything else, the big thing that we'll have to do is we have to commit that level of change from the people around us and for the people around us, and start to really push for volunteers and commitment so we can grow. We need to be able to work on outreach and growth. And new minister's great, but new minister we can't dump all of that on a new minister. We have to still put effort in ourselves. We've spent a long time working for a full-time new minister, and this is great. It really is, but this isn't the changing point. This is just a step in the right direction, and we still have to be willing to make that commitment and grow within ourselves before we can expect anything out of a new minister. We are the starting point. And as everybody in this room knows, you don't see me up here very often for two reasons. For one, I don't do public speaking ever, and I will stumble over every word I try to say. And the other reason is my sermons are always super short and sweet, and that's pretty much it. That's what we are here for. Is we are here to grow. We are here to support the community around us that in the last year has redeveloped. We have started going by the new name First Unitarian of Northwest Indiana. So we are expanding our community out. We're not just Hobart anymore. We accept and have congregants from all over all of Northwest Indiana. But we do still recognize that we are part of Hobart, and Hobart is still our home and has been for 150 years, and I sure do hope that it's another 150. But like I said, I like to keep it short and sweet, and that's pretty much all I have. Sandy, I mean, that's loose change. Thanks.
Now is the time in our service for our offering. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. There is an online link on the screen for both one-time and regular donations. You can also contribute in person by putting paper money and loose change in these baskets and cups. The money in the baskets goes to sustaining the mission of our community. The money in the cups goes to our Faith in Action Committee and a different charity chosen by the committee every month. And this month's charity is the Big Shoulder Fund, which provides support to schools with demonstrated need, which provide a quality, values-based education for Chicago's children. And this month in particular, that money to Big Shoulders Fund is going to the schools in Chicago's Ukrainian Village, which serve children from the Ukraine with education. So, please try not to touch the baskets and cups as our ushers bring them to you because of the creepy crawlies. Can I get volunteers to carry the baskets and the cups? For your prayers, presence, service, and gifts, we are truly grateful.
Please rise for the closing hymn, number 346. Come sing a song with me.
closing words with a quote by Mitch Albom from Tuesdays with Maury. Devote yourself to the community around you, and devote yourself to creating something that gives you purpose and meaning.
Supposedly today is a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow that I felt was appropriate to the theme of the service. It's called A Psalm of Life. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was a Unitarian Universalist. Tell me now, in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end away, but to act that each tomorrow finds us further than today. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still like muffled drums are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant, let the dead past bury its dead. Act within the living present, heart within and God overhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time, footprints that perhaps another sailing over life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother seems she'll take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait.
The community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.